Okay, my talk is called 1 Star, I Hate This.
Oh, you got one.
Huh? Pretty much. So everything I'm going to show here, these are all real reviews. This is for the game that I wrote called Spaceward Ho. It's been in the App Store for 2 or 3 years or so. No, even longer than that. 4. So right now I have 396 ratings, 286 5 stars, 68, 26, and then 16 1 stars. So we're kind of going to go through, and part of this talk is to say, well, how do you actually deal with 1 star reviews? What do you do? All right, too buggy despite loving the original game. I loved this game 20 years ago. And then basically they ran into some crash. It says, it crashed the game and my save game unplayable. Please debug. Well, yeah, this is one of the problems you run into when you write a very complex game and your whole quality assurance person is you and the couple of friends that you basically had go along with the game, that there's ways that people run into. So this ended up being a bug that we fixed and updated the next version. But I don't think they ever went back and updated the 1 star because it's still there. This one, bad controls, graphics, sounds, and abomination. I love this one. This is probably one of my favorite ones, the 1 star ones. Some of the times they're just angry at the type of game, even though they could see what all the graphics looked like. It was pretty much clear what it was. The controls were there too. Maybe they just didn't like it. But sometimes part of the 1 star reviews is people just venting out their anger about the game and how much they really didn't like it. Severely disappointed. I'm trying to figure, is this the one overhead? But so they basically played it on the Mac, they played it everywhere else, very disappointed. Whoever ported it to the iPad, nostalgic buyers beware, this is not the game you loved years ago. Well, I mean, it actually is the game, because we actually licensed it, and we actually have all the code for most of it. They just didn't like some of the controls. But matter of fact, a lot of stuff actually looks exactly the same as the other one, and it actually looks even better for some of it. So, again, some of it is that you have to kind of look at, well, what are they really saying underneath it? Are there some things about the controls that they don't like that you can actually go fix? Or some way you can go see like, okay, what are they complaining about really? And if they just like the Mac version, well, sorry. Disappointing, looks good, but manual doesn't tell you how to play. No more info available at website. How do you refuel scout ships? By Eric the Fish, 123. Clearly his real name. So this kind of points to, well, how is your documentation on the game? Have you explained everything? Are there parts where you could actually either add more in a tutorial to explain how to play the game, or more in a manual? And so this is where some of the things that people complain about, we did have later additions to a full README or more of like how to play the game, added more stuff in there. So you can use these to kind of figure out like, okay, what should we actually add into it? Newest update, horrific. Now all the text is now enormous. Left-hand column now takes up 1/3 of the screen. And then the part I want to highlight is I want the old version back. And then I think it was 2 or 3 versions later, there was an update, no changes, now uninstalled. And then there's actually even another update later. It says, update, no changes since, and they added the new version, now uninstalled. So I don't know if they reinstalled it and then uninstalled it a second time or third time, but they at least uninstalled it once, probably twice. So some of this is, as you make changes to the user interface, you're always going to have some people who just don't like how the new one is. This particular one was more of like we switched from, and we also had some issues with some of the devices on Android because all the screen sizes are all varying sizes, and we had code in there that would decide whether it was a phone or a tablet, and that line we crossed wrong on their iPad, so we fixed a bunch of those to make it so it wasn't as large. Review, had to refund as kept crashing on my device, by Tony F. Sometimes, you have ones where it just crashes, and this is why you should have Crashlytics to install so you can find out what are the actual crashes and go fix them. No me gusta, in Komodo. You don't need to know Spanish to know that that's not a good review. Unlabeled sliders, the game. Why are some game makers so hostile to the idea of providing explanations? So again, this is, and I'm not even really sure which particular part they're talking about, but there's a lot of commentary on like, well, what things are they finding hard to play? And if you can find out, even if they're really not very, providing an explanation to me about what they didn't like, we can try to go fix it. And this one is just an absolute huge wall of text. But the thing that I want to point out from this one, it says, I've been playing Spaceward Ho since the original app on the Mac, and I'm currently the second highest ranked player on Game Center, which is pretty impressive because there's a lot of people playing on that. Like, I swear they play every day and go up quite a few points. But the game is now frustrating and unable to play. Achievements and ratings do not work. I don't understand why these arbitrary and less than useful changes to the interface were made instead of bringing back multiplayer mode. Well, I mean, some of the things, bringing back multiplayer mode requires months and months of investment. Making changes to some of the UI doesn't take as long. We made some updates to it. But again, this is another part of where we're just angry about it. It's clearly he has played it for lots and lots and lots and lots of hours, but he thinks it's a one-star game and should be removed from the App Store. So I think some of this you have to just take with a grain of salt. Like, they love the game clearly, but they're giving it 1 star because they're trying to make their point. So what can you do? Fix the bugs. So find whatever the bugs there are. No, really, find the bugs and fix them. That is a big point. A lot of your people will review it, and if you need to be responsive for it and fix them. And really, fix the bugs. The other one is you can add documentation and help for it. One of the best ones I found has been if you can figure out who they are, like if they're in the Android App Store, it's much easier. You can actually send them a direct message saying, hey, send me email, I'll add you to the beta list, you can test out the new versions, we'll get your feedback. I've gotten other people who have done 1-star reviews to get on the beta, then provide lots of useful feedback, and then change your review to a 5-star. And the last part is let it go, because it doesn't matter. You have all of these things that people have posited about it. Don't let the 1-star review ruin your experience of what you've created. You should listen to it, but don't take it to heart. All right. Any questions? Yeah.
So, way back when I published my first app, just sort of reiterating what Christopher said, but that's focusing on the let it go. I looked at reviews every single day, and every person who complained or had a suggestion, I was immediately hacking away the code, trying to make people happy. And 6,500 reviews later, I haven't looked at reviews in about 6 months. I don't care anymore. Because everyone's either going to be upset, or they're going to like it, or who cares? I mean, occasionally I'll go in and look to see if anything is glaring, but the best thing to do is just, it's important to look at that in the infancy of something you create, but at some point you just need to cut yourself loose, otherwise you're going to be chasing chickens, and it's just not going to work.